Hey y'all, I'm Cassie and welcome back to my channel. So today we're back to, of course, all things sewing related, and so today I'm going to show you guys a quick tutorial on how to use sew-in boning. Now this is not the only way that you can use it. In fact, most commonly you'll see it sewn directly stitched to the fabric, but today I'm going to show you how to use it with a channel and then how to secure it while stitching all the way through. Let's get to it. So let's start by taking a look at our materials that we'll be using today. So this I got from Wall Walk Sewing. This is called sew-in plastic boning. And the reason it is that way is because it has these skinnier channels on the outer edges. And that is so that you can actually stitch down these channels straight onto whatever garment that you're working on. Now for the method that we're working with today, you can also use this type of boning. This is just a clear plastic boning, and so that you can see. So this goes really well also with corsets that are sheer, because obviously if you're going to be able to see through the fabric, this just makes it as much of an illusion as possible. But instead of using this today, we're going to be using our sew-in boning, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. So this is the type of channel that we're going to create. So what we ended up doing, because we didn't want to do two layers of the corset, is we have our mesh here. This is a non-stretch corset mesh. I've got the link to where I purchased this in the description. I cut out my boning channel out of the same fabric, and what we're going to do is we're going to press this completely in half, and then the width for this is calculated based on whatever amount of seam allowance you want to stitch it to the corset with, as well as how wide the channel needs to be afterwards to actually slide the boning piece into it. So this is the bodice piece that we're going to be working with today. You can see based on my pattern piece, I cut this out on the fold so it would be nice and symmetrical. And then I have made notch indications for where I actually come back in with my fabric scissors and clip just ever so slightly so that I know and can keep track of where my boning channels are going to go. So once we remove this, what we're going to do is we're going to come back in with our boning channels and we're going to stitch it to our notches, fold it over, and then slide our boning channel in. So let's get started. Now that we have all of our channels prepared, this is what they look like. Originally they're like this. As I said, you fold them in half, and then you actually can do a little stitch down here to secure it closed if you don't feel comfortable about being able to just secure it straight to your bodice, but it's also an extra step, so you don't technically have to do that. But let's stitch it down. So this is what it looks like before it's actually pressed over. We're wanting to hide this little seam here by pressing it over. So let's go ahead and get it pressed next. Okay, so now that we have all of our channels technically pressed over, you see how they don't stay by themselves even if we put the boning in there. So what we're going to do, and of course this is why we used sew-in boning, is we're going to insert this into this channel and then stitch it down through all the layers. Now for your clear boning, what you want to do before actually inserting it is you're going to prepare it. So all of these are about 1/2 inch from the top of the neckline and the waistline down. You just don't want to sandwich any of the actual boning into your seam allowance. Although if you end up catching a little bit, it's not a problem. You can see that it's got some reinforcement to it, but it's not as problematic as metal boning if you happen to sew through it. Goodbye needles. But the point is, overall, to prepare the top and the bottom edges, with clear boning, I always melt the edges. This makes it nice and smooth and doesn't pierce through your garment. So let's go ahead and insert it into the boning channels. All right, and just like that, it's nice and secured. So again, the reason that we did this is so that we didn't have to do multiple layers. And you see that there are no seams exposed on the inside, so this would technically be the inside of the fabric. And all of this is actually going to get covered with pleated tulle across it, but you can see close up how nice the stitch line is And again, the clear boning, because you stitched it into the channel, so that's why we use sew in instead of just the regular clear boning, it's not gonna move at all. So everything is very, very secure. Okay, you guys, that's the end of the tutorial for today. I hope you guys found this helpful. This is not the only style of boning that you could use for this. As I mentioned previously, there's a lot of clear boning that would just slide right into the channel, but because of the way that we plan for these pattern pieces, it required actually stitching the channel down inside after you've inserted the sew-in channeling. And because it's clear, I find that for any kind of see-through corset, this works out really well. So, if you like this video or if you have any thoughts, please leave those in the comments section. Don't forget, of course, to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next week.